Hey, welcome to this Mark's Reviews Tutorials video. We're looking at the back of a fridge here. You'll notice something distinctive about this fridge. See, as I've pulled it out, there's a little tray of water. Modern fridges have an auto defrost system in them so that the freezer part at the top goes through a system and it gets the ice off the walls so they don't build up. Old fridges used to have to turn them off and chip them out. Remember, our first fridge was like that to get all the ice out. These are auto defrost, but what it means is that ice melts and has to end up somewhere down in a drip tray. This guy here has decided the fridge is normally in this little alcove here, but it puts a big pool of water at the front here, sort of every now and then. So either there's a tube broken or a tray cracked or something overflowed. So we're just gonna dive in and have a look and see what we can find. As you can see, as we've moved it forward, there's water has trailed out of it again there. But we're gonna start off by removing these screws down the bottom. There's one there. And in that drip tray, we'll take that tray down and we'll get down underneath. We'll give it a clean up too, just get all the fluff and stuff that builds up behind fridges. How this works here. Reverse cycle, or these refrigeration systems, be it an air conditioner, like there's an air conditioner up there, when it's blowing cold inside the house, the system that's outside is blowing hot. And the same thing with the fridge. When the compressor and so forth doing the same thing, it's making the fridge cold. There's a hot side of that always. It's a heat pump. It transfers the heat. And part of that, they're putting this heat into this coil so that when that water we're talking about comes in here, it heats, so it evaporates and goes back into the system so the tank doesn't overfill. There's a little tube up in there you can feel. And what I know about all this is that it's all dry. This tank is dry. You can see the water spilt as we move the fridge out. But this tank is dry and that tube is dry, so the tubing or something further up is not getting the water through to this part here. So the answer is not going to be here at the back. This is all in place, it's working. I'm checking, is there a crack? There's no crack in the tray that's instantly letting the water out. There's no signs of water down here where it's leaked through the tray. So the water's not getting through to this point. So we've moved inside, we've emptied out the entire fridge and we've turned it off. And then in this Fisher and Paykel, you can see the finger holes here, top and bottom. We've just levered that out, and that panel, you can see it's dropping down at the top there. Here we go, that panel comes out, and then there's insulating foam here in behind. You can see this one's connected to probably some sensors, temperature sensing things. It comes out, be very careful of those. We can unplug that if necessary. And most importantly, look at that. That's going to be our drain tube, which goes down to that one at the bottom. So we've finally accessed that. There's a screw up here to take this panel off. So we'll undo this screw and go that one extra level and see if we can't find the top of that drain pipe. Screw, and straight away this panel here is able to drop down. And apart from the wires, the whole thing comes out. There's an awful lot of foam insulation. So we've got some bits and pieces here. But as I've said, we've now got access to this drain pipe. See here, there's there it is, running right the way down to here. So we're going to pull that off. It's a bit of a flexible pipe. We're going to pull it off and see what we can't do about clearing it out and letting it drain right the way through. So a good way to non-intrusive, without pulling the whole fridge apart and doing everything else, is when you've got a freezer on the top, there's a drain tray in here where the ice can collect, and if it freezes through, you see it drains to this point and then comes down the drain. I've checked the drain's clear. So what you can do, just get a cup of boiling water out of the kitchen, and I've got a syringe. What you need to do is just get water down there. Now if I show you with the syringe, if you poke that straight down, it just comes into the freezer, but if you go on an angle, then you can get into where that drain tray is. And what I've done is just filled this cup with boiling water and then drawn it up with the syringe and then poked it all the way along in order to get this draining. And so it's draining down through the pipe here again. So that's a non-intrusive way. But in actual fact, what you need to do is get the back panel off the freezer and be able to get all of the ice off the condenser because it's iced up and blocked. I've checked the drain hole is working, but it's also still blocked in that underneath. It's not, the water is still coming and running down here, but it's also dripping from here. And the stuff that's dripping from over here, of course, is what's causing the flooding. So we've still got an ice blockage that we need to deal with. what I want to show you is just using this syringe and hot water, I was able to get the ice away from that and enable that drain to open up and start to go again. So it's a quick fix. It's not getting all the ice off, but it's a good thing to try yourself. Okay, so we have managed to pull this rear panel out. It is possible. Mind you, you've got to be absolutely brutal to do it. You'll see you've got these two little clips up the top, here and here. And what I did, I got a couple of little screwdrivers here to get that started. You get the clip down and then another screwdriver in beside it to open it up. And then a pair of pliers, and I actually grabbed hold of that top lip and pulled it forward. And I'm talking pulled it really quite hard. It was all jammed in under these edges. And then this panel here came forward. Let's grab it with the pliers again. That came forward and over the top like that. Now you can see you've got wires here that don't want to come. That's the wire for the fan motor there. So I then tipped it back over up the other way like that, and voila, let's put that in place. There is the condenser underneath that panel. Very hard to remove. There's little feet holding it, locking it in position here in the bottom. They're down there. This one now, also this panel that I was injecting past before, that can lift up and you can get that out, which then gives you access to the drain hole down there. Now, have a look at the drain hole down there, because, let's zoom up. Let's get that focus. You can see the little thing running down there. It's like a little thermostat. So I reckon that's like a little heater or something. It goes right into the top and you can see it from underneath when I unplugged it. So it's probably there to melt the ice to stop it from blocking. Mine had a little bit of frozen Glad wrap, had fallen over the back and gotten into that hole. So I do believe that that's all it took to make the water stop and then freeze all of this up. Because as I was shooting the hot water down here, it took a while to melt the ice that was down there. And as I pulled this off, the fridge has been off probably for an hour. I've been mucking with it now, trying to get the thing open. This was still dripping. So there had been ice all over this as well, but just by time it had defrosted. So all the ice had gone from mine by the time I got that panel up. But if I hadn't gotten in and removed that little piece of Glad wrap, then I don't think I would have solved the problem. So there it is. You've got little tabs at the bottom of this, so don't try and get it out from the bottom. The two little clips I showed you at the top of the hinge, you've got to pull that down and then grab it with a pair of pliers and give it a good old reef. Just clicking it out as you can, be as gentle as you can. I was really worried about the little white thing that I showed you from the front. It comes, there's two panels come together, so you don't have to worry about that. There it is right there. You're not going to rip it off as you pull that out, and the whole fan assembly, the whole lot comes out. So there you go. That's how you get that panel open. And then if you get to that, you have to pour some hot water on it or use a hairdryer or something to get all the ice off. And then what you really got to do is get to that hole and make sure it's not blocked in some way, which mine was. And then you'll be sweet. The auto defrost system will work again. So now we're going to start to put it back together again. The first thing is this panel here. Now it slots in and you see it's now tight again, so you've got to bring it in vertical. You've got to get it in. There's two of these have slots on. They've got to be lined up, and when you check that they're right, they're good. And then this, when we put it back in, it's going to be feet first and then click it back over the top. Okay, so we've put the tabs in there in the corner, got that back where we want it, and now you see we're sliding it back, keeping it even. So, bang, it's always the key. And then that snaps back into position. You can see how tight that is. It just gives you a good idea of what you've got to do to get it out. So there you go. That panel is back in place. The drain hole's now clear. Everything's been tested. So it's time to put the food back in and get it all back together. Basically, when we're putting the fridge back together, you need to get this panel back up, but this piece of foam needs to be clicked up inside before you put this panel in. And then once you've got it up, the lugs will line up here and everywhere. You get it back in, click in. Then you've got a screw to get back in as well. And it's this screw here. So get that screw back in, and then that's in place. We'll put this in, and then we can click the lower panel on. Then that'll click back into place, and that'll go perfectly back in place. And then the white panel will come in and click. Okay, so then that plastic panel clips back in. And you're done. Congratulations. Have a look at the links in the description if you want to get hold of some tools or even some parts for fridges. But congratulations, well done.